Hello and welcome to the Slingshot channel. And now today the Slingshot channel carries the name it deserves, because this episode is all about slingshots. Actually about a new slingshot of mine that will just now make it into production. Yes, 12 years after I introduced the Ramhammer, and probably longer since I introduced the Ramhammer, both really successful slingshots, I'm now coming with the Ramhammer. Here a 3D printed prototype, but now it will be made into an injection molding tool, and soon it will be a reality. Now when I made the Ramhammer, I wanted to make a high performance slingshot for people that want to shoot the strongest bands with the heaviest ammo, achieving the highest possible energy that you can get from a handheld slingshot. Therefore you have this low fork, you have this really ergonomic handle. It's made for the hammer grip, because the hammer grip is what humans are designed to hold onto something like this. So all this crap here, this is probably for pea shooters and so on, and people think it's more accurate. Yeah, okay, if that's the way they want to shoot, but this gives you power, raw power, and that's what you want. And you need a low fork to actually control that power with the wrist, because the higher the fork, the more leverage is on the and torque is on the wrist. Now with the Ramhammer, it's kind of a similar handle, but it has a little bit of a higher fork. That's basically for the peace of mind, because inexperienced shooters are almost always afraid to hit their hand, which really, if you shoot in a clean fashion, can never happen, since the bands want to go through here. They don't want to go to here. So therefore, when you draw out and release, it won't hit your hand at all. And also we introduced these clamps, because on other slingshot models, like this one here, it's a handmade one from a natural fork, you can see this is the classic attachment where you simply wrap the rubber around with another strip of rubber. This holds, but of course this is much more comfortable. All you need is an Allen key, and then you can clamp in even the heaviest bands. So the Ramhammer actually combines the low fork of the Ramhammer with the much superior clips of the Ramhammer, and also I increased the strength. As you can see, the middle section here, because it's really flat, this is already wide, but on the Ramhammer it's even wider, giving you additional stability. And this is of course needed, because this is still plastic and this is 3D printed. So if this survives it, then the injection molded one, which is going to be a lot more solid, will definitely survive it. I made some more slingshots recently. I just no longer show all of them in an independent video, just because I don't want to be repetitive. This one is one that I really like, because it uses antler, and as you see, it has a very symmetric, like semicircle fork. But of course it is still comfortable to hold, but it lacks the great ergonomics from the Ramhammer and the Ramhammer. And also, as you see, the fork is quite high, and therefore the leverage is a little bit higher. And this one is also one that I made maybe 1 or 2 years ago. This is actually also carved from a single fork. So this used to be a natural, very big fork. And this one also has a hand protector. And you use this when you use really heavy bands, but lighter ammo, because then the bands would swing out and slap you on the fingers, and it can be very painful. Like a whip, really painful. Now this protects you from it, but as you can see, this also has a higher fork, and therefore it is not really suitable for very strong bands, since the torque is high. You can imagine if they would be that high, then it would be almost impossible to draw out strong bands. And this one pretty much the same thing. I mean, it's pleasant to the eye. And yes, this one you can also shoot in the finger support style, which, as I said, I prefer the hammer grip. But, that's just my opinion. Now this is also very pretty, but the fork is fairly high. If you compare it to the fork of the Ramhammer, you can easily see the difference. So this is high performance for experienced shooters, and that's what I wanted to bring out now. There's so many pea shooter forks on the market already. Now for the tests, let's do some shooting with this band set. So this is a tapered band set that can be shot in the half butterfly style. So it's wider on the fork and more narrow on the pouch. And this gives you more speed. And this is ideal for example, 60mm steel balls. But these are of course not my most powerful bands. But we're starting slow and we're just shooting ourselves in with the new frame. Let's shoot some cans. The left one is filled with water, and we're using the tapered double layer TheoBand Gold and 60mm steel balls. Should be devastating. I really love how easy it is to draw this out because it's so flat over the hand. It's just a joy to shoot. Bang. So much fun. People sometimes wonder why I fill cans with water when I shoot at them. That has to do with the energy. See, this one went straight in and it hardly dented the can, while this one here, when the can was already almost empty, it just caused a massive dent, and that dent absorbs a lot of energy. Now the water won't give way so quickly. Yes, it appears soft, but in reality it just takes time for the water to kind of move. And therefore, if you fill it with water, it's much easier to penetrate a can. Then let's remove the smaller cans. So easy and so much fun. And now we're shooting the 50-meter distance, since 10 meters, as you saw, is really not a problem. And now it's 50-meter distance, same can. And of course, we're still using the shiny steel balls, because these big shiny steel balls have the advantage that you can actually see them in flight. So I just aim over the bands, which is easy. You just, just kind of prolong the bands. That's exactly where the ball is going to fly to. And on height, you just have to get adjusted to it. But when you see it in flight, it's not hard. That was a solid hit. So now's the time for the heavier bands and the bigger ammo. So this is a 4-layer slingshot, and I know it's TheoBand Gold, and now people just almost always ask me, why don't you use the more modern types that are around? Basically because this is rubber that's made for an entirely different purpose. A lot of shooters these days shoot really weak bands. They shoot them so weak that it barely reaches 10 meters, because that's the only distance they go for, and they use really small steel balls, like 8mm, 9mm, maybe 10mm. So you don't need a lot of power for this, and they want speed, of course. Maybe that's the right way to go, but I want to maximize energy and also impact, like sheer power, destruction, and therefore what you need is heavy balls, and therefore you also need heavy bands. Now on heavy bands like this, the quality of the rubber does not play such an important role anymore, because these will never, if you use heavy enough balls, they will never exceed 70, maybe 75 meters per second. So it doesn't have to be super powerful material. And TheoBand Gold, actually, if you taper it right, which I did here, then it gives you plenty of performance. Plus also I have lots of the stuff, probably enough for the next 10 years or so. Exchanging the bands is really super easy. All you need is an Allen key. And if you buy these slingshots from me, then a fitting and matching Allen key comes with it, so you don't have to, search around for one. So you just loosen it a little bit, and then you can pull the bands out, and then you can probably give more room for the thicker bands, and then tighten the nuts again. And as you can see, there's this little notch in here that fits in here. This is actually where the bands are clamped in hard. So this is how it's done. So now I have them attached. And if you can see, if I draw them out here, you can also see that these noses here take a whole lot of the load. So this really works. You can pull hard on it and it won't give. So this is absolutely securely clamped in. So for this strength test we're now using 20mm steel balls. It would be better to use 25mm, but I ran out of them, so 20mm it is. The 25mm would deliver more energy and also cause more damage. But anyway. Whoa! Nicked it. Whoa! Okay, we hit it high. This means we can shoot at it again, since it's still going to take lots of water. Nicked it. I think I can keep shooting. Okay. Now that was a nice hit, because it has an entrance and an exit hole, just the way I prefer it. That was a great hit, I think. And you see how much power is behind the 20mm steel ball and the 4-layer band set. I'm in love with this design. So we're now going to turn it into a tool, and that's going to take like a couple months, and then we're going to get them. So probably this summer we can probably start selling the Slingshot. Prices haven't been set yet, and of course it's not a Slingshot for beginners. Keep that in mind, guys. Although of course, if you're not afraid, you can use this and just start with a single layer band set and then work yourself up. That's what I recommend. Because if you would start with band sets like this could be very dangerous, because then you could not really control it, and then terrible things can happen. Don't underestimate the energy that is involved here, so it can hurt you very badly. In any case, the Ramhammer, soon to be your reality. I hope you like this, because that's it for today. Thanks, and bye-bye.